Hey everybody, welcome to this week's critique video. Um, uh, really excited to look at everyone's pictures in detail. And like I said in the beginning in my introduction, if you would like to fast forward to just see your images and what I say about those, that's absolutely fine with me because, there's quite a few of you, so the video itself is going to seem kind of long. But one of the things that's really important that I expect of you in this course is to listen to my feedback and employ it in your photography. So I will give you lots of editing tips and things like that along the way, and just things that I've learned with having my Master of Fine Arts in Photography and being a photography teacher for so long. Okay, so let's take a look at our first victim. Put myself out of the way. And let's see. Put myself away from that corner. A little glitch. Glitchy. Okay. Hold on just a second. So apparently I clicked on something and mixed up the order of, who turned in first. So, I'm going to go with, looks like Clark was first. So let's look at his, and, pardon me if I did something wrong. I'm just doing my best here. Okay, so Clark is actually Ellis. And I want to just go to a folder of your images, Ellis. And so he went through Dothan Campus. He likes liminal spaces. And your choices of compositional guidelines are repetition, leading lines, and so you said deeper depth of field. Okay. I don't know if that's a compositional guideline, but it is something that we think about in photography for sure. And give your light sources a luminous dreamy quality. Okay, so let's go look at a folder of your images. Okay, and here we go. And I think this first image really sets a precedent for what is to come. I can tell that you edited quite a bit and made the color a lot stronger than it normally would have been. Maybe you've increased the contrast quite a bit. Everything looks really sharp and a lot of difference. So contrast is difference, Your lights become lighter, your darks become darker, there's increase in clarity, and increase in saturation just by doing contrast, increasing contrast. So this is a pretty interesting beginning to your shoot, and like I said, it kind of sets a precedent to tell the story. And then from here, I was kind of excited to see Dothan Campus because that's where I work, and I've never ever been there because it's pretty far away from me. But this is interesting. I kind of get it like a face in this image, with eyes and nose and mouth, but I see faces a lot. It's just because I've done like anthropomorphic images with students before, so it's just something that I notice. So this has nice leading lines. And here is your repetition. And yeah, patterns. Okay, and then this one we've got leading lines again with the distance. I really like reflections. That's one of my favorite things to see, and I can see that everything is still set up to COVID guidelines, which is good because we've had an uptick over the summer. And then repeating patterns again. So this one for me is kind of like taking a picture of what you saw rather than you creating something with it. If you understand what I mean. That is something that I try to warn against, and it'll come up and again, and please don't worry about it for this week, because I'm just kind of telling you about the things that I often comment on and things that I notice. And this is like, you know, some painted squares in a pattern, and but it mostly appears to be that's it, you know, although we do have some depth because things are getting smaller into the distance, and we've got a nice deep depth of field like you said, so good. And this one, you know, we got those leading lines and reflections again. This one is different. It's different than the rest, and I think it's because it's a little bit askew, you know, it's like a little bit tilted, it's a little bit leaning. And so I'm going to guess that that was purposeful. If you were editing it, I would probably recommend to straighten it. And I put how to straighten an image in the announcements that the latest announcement from this week. And I put a little video in there, you know, my favorite kind of things that I teach first. And then at the very end, I show you how to do the straighten in Photoshop. But, you know, if you're really particular about this was a purposeful choice, you know, this askew, then, you know, it's almost like a break in the images because it's so different. Everything else is kind of orderly, you know. And this one as well is just kind of askew. And I mean, this, if you wanted to straighten everything out, like because this is like lens distortion, well, you know, this would be normally a square, right? You can do that in Camera Raw. And if you've got your Photoshop purchased, just let me know if you want to know about fixing that, and I'll do a video about that. But maybe you wanted this to be, you know, kind of like a weird perspective, you know, askew. And that's okay too. And then again, we've got another shot with the leading lines of the hallways. I really love the repetition here of the lights, you know, that is on, you know, some artwork. I guess it's like anatomy. This must be where the nurses learn, or that's just what I'm guessing because I have a lot of students who are nurses in my art history class. And then this one, again, is also very different than the others because it just doesn't have the order that everything else does, that it's got, you know, this demonstration of depth, you know, going into the distance. So, I mean, there is some of it here. For me, I think that I would, if I were editing this image, I would for sure straighten it. But that's just my preference, you know. That's something that I was always told to do by my professors, you know, getting the Masters of Fine Art. So that's what I'm trying to pass along my learning to you. And I would for sure kind of like increase the saturation, especially the greens. And so anyway, really interesting collection, Ellis. I think you took us on a journey. And, you know, you're going to have to let me know what you think about these comments. So definitely reply to the video, and you can explain some things to me. Oh, I just noticed this reflection. That's beautiful. But we've got completely washed out highlights outside. So I would like to see the original of this image, and I'm curious about your response to my comments. All All right, Ellis, great work this week, and we're going to move on to our next victim. Oh, I forgot to mention, Ellis, that I don't have any information about a camera for you. I know you like film photography, and you're an amateur photographer, but I would like to know what camera you're using, or if you're using your phone, what kind of phone is it? So that will help me help you when editing and things like that. Okay, now we're going to move along. Also, I just don't want to let this pass by, but Ellis got a lot of really good feedback, so made a strong showing. And our next person, I believe, is Madison. So I'm just looking at the times here. I might get one wrong. Okay, so Madison went to downtown Dothan, and that's very interesting to me as well because, you know, I've never been there. And I got to walk around town with you. So that was fun. And let's see, Madison is using a Canon 60D, which is incredible. That is a very nice camera. So Madison is saying she used framing, symmetry, and viewpoint. And you've got maybe some leading lines, some framing, angles from the sidewalk view, and getting down low, so that's really changing your perspective. So very smart things to try. Okay, and you're talking about maybe doing some straightening. So let's look at your folder of images. So I will apologize to you all because I know that you showed your images in a certain order that you preferred. However, when I copied them into a folder, then, you know, it automatically like alphabetizes or puts the numbers in order. So I apologize if, you know, it's not in the correct order. So I get to see this mural, which is, you know, a really cool mural. We've got a little bit of distraction here. So I would probably crop that car out. I kind of like the little hydrant here, you know, because it's kind of echoing some of the colors. And I would definitely, maybe not straighten, because I can see that your horizon line here is very straight. So, you know, it's just like a natural angle of the photo. But normally I'm going to tell you in the future that you need to make an image your own. So you have done that somewhat here with, you know, with the little hydrant. You could also try and recover some of the highlights in the sky, and I can show you how to do that in Camera Raw once we start shooting Raw. So let's keep on moving through Dothan. And, you know, we've got a statue here, you know, a little fountain, which is very cute. I noticed that it's kind of backlit, which means that the light is behind the figure, so we can't see the figure very well. So I would probably have moved around the sculpture to get the best lighting. And also, this is another one of those, I saw this, look at this, I saw this. And now I don't want you to worry about that this week, but in future shoots, we will be trying to like take what it is that you see and make it your own image. So you've just got to make it yours, you know, not like, well, I saw this person's artwork in the park and I took a picture of it. So do you see what I mean? So that's one of those things that I talk about a lot. And then here we have, you know, the same kind of thing, you know, this little sculpture, but I'm enjoying getting to see around Dothan. And, you know, I can see what's in the background, so that kind of changes it up a little bit too. And here, this one is kind of fascinating to me, even though it is blurry. So when everything's blurry, you've got to have a reason why. So that's one of the choices that we can make in photography. Normally you want to have one thing that's, you know, tack sharp and focus, so that we know what to look at first. And, you know, this entire scene is blurred. But I'm interested. You know, I want to know who this guy is. I mean, is this the president or something? You know, it almost seems like the clarity is in the sky, because you got that really bright blue and super clear sky. So I'm wondering if perhaps when you were focusing the camera, which we can do by pressing the shutter release on an actual camera, just press it halfway softly, and it will focus on a certain area, you know, normally what you would want to focus on. And if you focused in the distance, then that would have happened to that sky. So interesting. And this one is nice and clear. So this is a building in Dothan. I don't know what the building is because I've never been there. So, you know, you can comment, reply to my comments, and let me know your thoughts about each image, because I'm curious. And next, self-portrait. I think this was the first one that you shared, Madison, and I really enjoyed that. I think that is so cute. And you framed it here with the lines of the window, and also extended it beyond the frame. So, you know, we're just like, our eyes are like all over the place. You're also in between two signs that are backwards because it's in a reflection. But this is an interesting image to me. You know, this is a self-portrait, really. So a lot of things we could do with this. Personally, I would probably crop it, you know, within the frame, so that there's not distractions. Like even this edge here is kind of distracting to me. So we can just keep it on what you wanted. Anyway, I like that one. This one is where you're low to the ground. We've got a little bit of a skewed world here because our horizon, and that is the line that separates the land from the sky, is askew. So if it were me, I would probably straighten this. And if you heard me talk to, I think it was Ellis, about straightening, there is at the end of the video in the announcements, there's a little tip about straightening at the end of the video. So if you wanted to do that. I really like the texture and the detail you got in this area. So that's nice. And apparently this is the Civic Center. Okay, this is my favorite. My favorite of your images, definitely. For a couple of reasons. It looks so much like the little town where I work, where the school is where I work, in Winter Haven, Florida. We have the same kind of little parking area, the same kind of, you know, parking in front of these businesses. And it's like nice small town, so no tall buildings, so we've got a lot of open sky. And then you've got that, the flag is really kind of lit up by the light. And FYI, this is one of the places where my friends and I go if we were in Winter Haven, and meet up for like birthdays and things like that. So yeah, definitely like that one. And this one, I think you got down really, really low. So I appreciate that low perspective. And it's really nice and straight. I mean, very slightly. It could be fixed maybe, very slightly. But I like it. And I like the shadows. And, you know, this cute little couple. For me, I know somebody said, you know, maybe you shouldn't have the trash cans in the back. But, you know, they're there. This is what it really looks like there. So, I mean, perhaps you could crop it vertically. And so we get this little bit of, trees at the top, and it feels a little bit more like a secluded area where this sculpture is standing. Yeah, so those are my thoughts. I mean, it's really up to you because we're going to be editing these photos this week. Okay, so that's it for Madison. We're going to go on to the next person. Again, Madison also got so many good reviews of her work and great feedback. I noticed that Jess and Tatum noticed the same picture I noticed and really liked it. And I think Lorna too. So great work, Madison. And we're going to move on to, let's see who's next. Looks like Georgia. Well, Danielle. Okay, let's take a look at Danielle's. And Danielle, let's see, you are using your iPhone and your mom's Canon. I'm not sure what model it is. And because you renamed the files, I mean, actually, I could tell what camera you used. Hold on a second, I'll show you that. So here I just opened up your really cool mushroom, and I love mushrooms so much. Just love them, adore them, and not because it's trendy right now. I can take an image, and if you go File Info, I can tell the camera that you used, and you've got the Canon EOS Rebel T6. So that's really good to know. And I can tell all the settings for your exposure, so that'll be important upcoming. I can tell the date that you took this image. So some of those things are really going to come into play, especially when people try to throw me some old pictures because they didn't do the shoot this week, and I promise you it is so much better. Just do the shoot. Just do the shoot. You'll get the best grades. I'm very fair. I think Photoshop's getting a little too excited here. I can hear my computer heating up. So take a look at Danielle's, all of her notes. I just love that. Getting to know some notes about every image. So I really appreciate that. A lot of you did that and gave us some feedback, and you got some great feedback too. Okay, let's take a look at your images. So I'll show you. Let's see, here's Danielle on my desktop, and we're going to view a little show. Remember how I said they're not in order? And that is just, I can tell you how to put your images in order. You know, if you do A, B, C, D, name each file, just, you don't have to change the name of the file. Just put like an A at the beginning, or 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. It will automatically put them in the order that you wanted. So, and that will help me as well because, I get to see them as you wanted me to see them. Because clicking and opening each file in the discussion board, it just takes a little extra long. Okay, so anyway, back to Danielle. I was trying to get this so we could see the entire folder. Oh, I'm sizing the wrong thing. Oops. Pardon? Pardonnez-moi. Keeps happening. Okay, I'm not gonna worry about it. Alright, so first image I've got is the birdhouse. And this is, kind of really nice. I love how you moved it off center. I really like this branch in the background. I like the clarity. I like seeing all the textures on the bark and on the birdhouse. And your shallow depth of field. So I am a sucker for shallow depth of field, reflections, shadows. Those are the things that, are, they kind of excite me, in a photo that I'm looking at. So you'll get to know the things that I love. But, I mean, I expect everyone else to have their own choices in, the things that you shoot, the things that you appreciate. And I definitely always want to hear from you. Once I do a critique, I want to hear back. What did you think? Do you have responses to what I said? This one, I think you said it was like an overgrown area, which I thought was a little funny because, I mean, it's not that bad. I mean, this is like weed whacker the most. But, the little weeds are cute. And this one as well. I like seeing, the texture of the mushroom. If you had gotten even down lower, and we could even see the underside of the mushroom, that is one of those viewpoint images that always is amazing. But we've got some great texture here. I can see we've got a pretty shallow depth of field because already it's starting to fade out. So I like that you're focusing on your subject, and I really like that you're moving it from the middle, from center. And this kitty is so cute. Look at his pretty green eyes. He is adorbs. One thing I notice about this portrait is that we can't see the whole cat. So one of those things that I look for in living things is, if you're going to go focus on just the face, then, by all means, go in deep. You could even just do an eye or some little particular detail. But if you're going to do a whole body shot, I'd like to see the whole body. I can't remember what it's called. It's like intersections or something that I learned. So things that are cut off, that just kind of bothers our brain a little bit. I mean, we love this cat, but we want to see the rest of it. So that's something to keep an eye out for in the future, even though this is adorable. Okay, this one has an it's a nice demonstration of depth into the distance. We've got the picnic table, and then it leads to this, and then it leads to this, and we see what's in the foreground, and all the way our eye follows this line into the background. So this is a nice image, and it's very straight, so I commend you on that straightness. That's one of my particulars. And these are cute little mushrooms, and we got some nice texture again. And then this, it's kind of funny how other people responded to this playground and how they got to go there when they were little. And, we have playgrounds like that here too. So I like it, even though it is a playground. So somebody else built this, and, of course it's interesting. I think it could be even more interesting if there were somebody present. And if it were me, I would straighten the vertical lines in this image. Or another thing that I show you in the video that I shared in the announcements is how to straighten, but also how to transform. So you could actually, because this building looks pretty straight, and these are a little askew, you could actually transform it and stretch it a little bit, skew it a little bit, and everything is going to look straight up and down. So it's kind of like a lens distortion thing, and we'll come back to that later in the course when we're into editing more. And this is a precious little one. I love this little detail here. I love the super close texture, very shallow depth of field, just this area. So I really like this one. If I were editing it, I would probably increase the saturation on the red, not too far, but because, this little red spotted mushroom is a treasure that you've happened upon. So very cute. This one for me is a little bit blurry. I see a little bit of clarity like here and here. So because you are doing such a shallow depth of field, that means you're probably using a large aperture. So if you look at the settings on your camera, when you take an image and you get something like this, or even open it up in Photoshop and go to File, File Info, you can see exactly what the settings are that you chose, or that if you used auto, that auto chose. So you can see, so like a low f number is a really big aperture. So that means the shutters, which are behind the lens, are opening up, you know, to let in all the light, but also it creates a shallow depth of field. So we've just got this like narrow little plane close to us that is clear, and then everything in the distance is blurred. So it's an interesting thing to do. However, I think I would have gone a little deeper in this image because I really like the shadows and the dappled light. Yeah, and I would be interested to see what that sky would have looked like with a deeper depth of field. And last one. So this is an interesting tree. You know, it's like almost like legs upside down, right? And skin the knee. But I see that that is what your subject is. I might have gone back a little further and so I could see more of the base of the tree. But what's interesting to me about this photo is, you know, taking a few more seconds to look at it. All these different sizes of trees, and they get smaller and smaller in the distance. So you might just be distracted by all the leaves, but down here is the really interesting part. Okay, so very good job, Danielle. Nice work. And we'll go to the next person in line. Okay, and that will be, looks like Christine, and this is Kira. Okay, so Kira, she prefers Kira. And she went to her garden. This was kind of a fascinating one for me because I loved all the close-ups. And your lens fogging, oh, I have experienced that myself. It can be kind of cool though. It's an interesting effect. Manual settings, of course they're baffling right now. And it was very hot. But you stuck it out. And yeah, that's going to happen when you're first experimenting with manual. You're going to have to look back at, you know, like if you're not taking notes as you go, when you open up a file in Photoshop, go to File and File Info and click on your camera data, and it will show you what your settings were. So even if you're using automatic, let's see, when it's very bright, you probably had a larger aperture, which is a lower f number. So it'll probably say f1.4 or f2.4. And then if it's very dark, you probably have a smaller aperture. So like something like f, you know, 32 or 22, 32. And it can also be about your shutter speed. A faster shutter speed is going to let in less light. A slower shutter speed is going to let in more light because the shutters behind the lens open longer. And so more light is allowed to come in. If they open really fast, you know, you're doing a super fast shutter speed, you're going to get less light. So, you know, those are all these things that we're going to learn. Okay, so the rule of thirds, triangles, and balance. And I don't know, I think don't be so hard on yourself, Kira. I think you did a really good job. Okay, and you got some good feedback as well. Everybody enjoyed your garden. Okay, so now let's look at your pictures. did I do with them? Here we go. Okay, here's Kira. Okay, look at this sweet little baby. I just love praying mantises. I think they're fascinating. And the fact that he's like, or she, in a profile view, I like this shape and how he's or she is so camouflaged in this plant. You know, this color is just repeating. And then we've got this gorgeous blur in the background. Also, even though a lot of the color in the image is similar, because you focus so closely, it's just like a beautiful portrait. So this one is really great. I enjoyed this one. And this one as well. This one is even more clear. And again, we've got a profile. A lot of similar colors, but that shallow depth of field. You know, we've got only this part in clear, so it really stands out. And look at the light coming into those flowers. Wow. This is a cool image. I really like it. It's almost like moonlight to me because it's dark. I mean, we do have some distracting elements, and that's one of the things I go over in that video and announcements as well, how you can get rid of distracting elements. It's kind of advanced though, so if you want to experiment, you can when we start editing. But this is really cool. And this one, I can't quite find where the clarity is. I think it's right here, but it's so shallow that even this flower is blurred, or this plant. But it does have kind of a dreamy quality, so I can see why you chose it. And then your sunflower, nice textures. Look at all those little hairs. So this is interesting for the textures. And I appreciate how the background is so dark that it just kind of makes everything shine. So you've got really good lighting, really that great shallow depth of field, and you've moved the subject from the center. You know, these to me are all great things. This is beautiful. I would probably print this image. It's very simple, but we've got so much clarity in this flower and this happy little butterfly. And you know, even the color of the flower is reflecting upon the butterfly because of the light. That's pretty incredible. I really enjoy this one. If I were going super picky, I would probably straighten the horizon, but not if you lose too much of the subject. And then this is interesting as well, that you chose to focus on the berries in the distance. So this is the part of the image that our eyes are drawn to. And that was an interesting choice. And this one could have been a little clearer, but it's so cool to see nature's patterns, isn't it? And here as well. And it's kind of weird to me that it's just one part of the plant and the rest is outside of the frame. So I'm like really wanting to see what's here, but I also appreciate the composition because here you've got rule of thirds. So this is the exciting part right here on one of the intersections of the tic-tac-toe board. So you're right on an intersection here. And this one's really pretty too. So really fun walk into your garden. Great. Okay, looks like Lorna is next. Let's take a look at Lorna. And I think everyone was pretty fascinated by this shot. The way the light is captured within the glass, and that's what I think that we're looking at, like in a we're looking through, perhaps it's a glass vase with a narrow opening. Not exactly sure, but all of these little dots of color, we call those bokeh dots, B-O-K-E-H, and they're so pretty. And then we've got this super clarity of the pine cones. So this is a great example of framing. Really enjoyed this one. So you went to a walking trail, a boat dock, and he said, of course, my random one of my sweet boy. Of course, that's going to be a highlight for the rest of us. And you did not like most of your photos. I feel like you were overthinking it. Okay, so lines, angles, framing. And Alex, yeah, he's a ham. But that's good because, you know, especially for photography. Okay, so this first image, we've got light in the background, and so this it's like chimes or some kind of like decorative porch decoration is in almost completely in silhouette. Oh, hold on, my battery's gonna go dead. So, I mean, I think I see what you were going for, maybe some framing. I find the most interesting part of the image to be like up here. So, I don't know. I don't know about this one. This, you might think that this is like not very exciting, but I really like it. It's very minimalist, and that's an aesthetic, you know, that's a thing that is kind of popular. It has been popular in the last, I want to say 5-6 years or so. I would definitely straighten the horizon and just, you know, leave it that just perfection of the minimalism of this shoreline. And yeah, I really like it. That could be a collection for you. And we got a stormy sky and this really cool reflection. Oh, you know what I did? I didn't go to your folder. Hold on. Okay, so I was starting to notice that, you know, of course I'm zoomed in on the text because I'm nearsighted. But we couldn't see the whole image at once. And here we can see it, you know, in all of its glory. So, let's see, we looked at this one that I really liked. This could be a series for you. We looked at this one. And then this one, now we can see the whole image. I really like the reflection in the water. I like that the clarity is in the foreground. However, I would probably increase the clarity throughout, and that's something that you can do in Camera Raw. However, we're not ready for Camera Raw yet. So what you can do is you can open up your image in Photoshop. Let's see if I can show you that. Maybe, maybe not. Show you that real quick. Oh, that's not the latest version. Whoops. There we go. So let me just open this image for Lorna. It's this one. Okay, so I wanted to show you how to make it more clear throughout. So one thing that you can do is, like I said in my videos for this week already, you can use brightness contrast. So increasing the contrast is going to increase the clarity. It's going to bump up the saturation a little bit. So you see the difference already. Just a huge. And that was so easy. Another thing that you can do if you don't have raw images yet is you can go up to filter which is right up here, and go to your camera raw filter, and that's like the effect of, you know, editing a raw image, but it's not a raw file. I guess it's not going to let me. Anyway, so here is that clarity slider. You know what I think it is? I know what I did. I'm on an adjustment layer. I gotta go to the actual photo in the layers palette. Okay, now let's try it. There we go. Okay, so I can increase the clarity slider, and that sharpens things up beautifully. And there you go, 2 easy ways to clear things up. I'm not going to save anything because that is up to you. Cancel change, yes, I know. All right, back to your images. This one is another one that's very minimalistic. I really like it. We could slightly straighten the horizon, but I would increase the clarity and just go with this. This is for me, this is a series already. This one, I think my interest would be more in this area where there's a reflection. I think there's a little bit too much of this. I would probably crop it and just go, I don't know, maybe this area, you know, maybe this, unless you're dead set on centering it. And then you could do a horizontal crop. Okay, that's just my suggestion. This one is also minimal, so I feel like I'm seeing your style, and I like it. This one, we've got some leading lines here. I would probably straighten it and increase the clarity, like I showed you. And this is nice. It's got great symmetry to it, very nice depth. This is interesting to me, how that there's this curve in the clouds over the train tracks. I don't know, I couldn't think of the name of that. So yeah, I like this one, and it's also minimalistic. And then here's your, wow, he looks like he's just, you know, oh, it makes me think like he's like an alpha male, which probably is too old school to say nowadays, but he's like yelling, and it's adorable. And look at your pig. I noticed this. What kind of, is like a potbelly pig? I'm not sure. I don't know my pig species very well, but cute cast of characters here, definitely. All right, great work, Lorna. And we're on to the next. And Lorna got some great feedback here as well. Isn't that fun? Isn't that the best? I would just live for that when I was in a photography class, just to hear what people said. And, you know, for me, I was like obsessed with my professor and what she would say. So sometimes it was like I would just bawl. Tears. Oh, because she had so many suggestions. But when she said something kind, I was just all over the moon. So, I mean, hopefully I'm not making anybody cry. Just trying to give you some suggestions. Okay, so next is, just going to go with Jess. Okay, might not be exactly the right time. Okay, so Jess went to Landmark Park, which I found really interesting. So she had some indoor, some outdoor. And I love that you took a ton of pictures, you know, right, this is right, the thing that I would do, exactly, take 1,000,000 pictures. And so your 3 rules were center your subject, use contrast to add interest, and apply the rule of thirds. Okay, so you're looking for pops of color. And I'm glad you're having so much fun and talking about this donkey. All right, so let's go look at your folder. I think Jess also got. Oh, so happy that you're enjoying it. So hold on one second. Alrighty, here's Jess, and she's got a pretty view of the boardwalk with some dappled light. I like the light coming through the leaves, you know, the colors are really bright, that's pretty. Normally I would say, well, okay, so this is a picture of the boardwalk in the park. How did you make it your own? But I feel like you did because it's off-centered. You know, we've got this curving leading line that's taking us through the image. We've got some framing here, and we've got this beautiful light to focus on. So that one works for me. This one, I really like how pretty and bright the barn is painted, and I'm interested in the barn. But this sign drives me crazy a little bit. It's nice to know what it says because this is kind of like a tourist picture. But I would have gone beyond, you know, what is there for the tourist and gotten more just the barn. I think this picture could have been a lot more interesting if you had done that. Of course, I'm losing my voice. That happens at the end of the day. And there's our donkey. And he's so cute. He looks, you know, kind of intense, like he's he wants the attention. And this owl it's really a pretty picture, even though, you know, it's got like marbles in his eyes, but you've got such a great shallow depth of field. I really appreciate that. And we can see all the texture and clarity in the owl's feathers. So taxidermy. This I like a lot. Okay, I think this is my favorite indoor shot of yours. There's so much going on here. There's so much to look at. You know, our eye just follows the objects. My eye goes up to the light bulb and to the chairs, and then there's this weird flare that's blue that feels kind of like there's a ghost in the room. And then we've got this glare in the sky. So we do have some washed out highlights here, and we'll talk about that as we get further into editing, because you can fix that. But this little area here makes me so happy. The light coming through the leaves is such a pretty color. And, you know, you said ghostly, so we've got these two chairs facing each other, and then the glowing light. So to me, this is a great image. I really keeps my attention, and that is a sign of success. And then there's your friend that you met, I guess, at the location. This is funny because that ear and that face, pretty cute. And then here we've got a pathway. To me, this is a little bit simplified. I like it because it's asymmetrical. It's not perfectly symmetrical, so our background is, you know, heavier, more heavily weighted on this side, and then balanced by this tree. But, and I like the color too. This one is, to me, a picture of something that you saw. So even though I love vintage cameras and I want to look at everything and see what it is, because I collect those too, this is just, you know, somebody else set this up and then you took a picture of it. So hopefully you see what I mean by that. I'll talk about that a lot during this course. This is great. I really like this image. I love the diagonals in it. I love that this is in the center. The colors are beautiful. It's very clear. Great picture. And then this one's interesting to me as well. This little highlight here, I'm drawn to that. You've got washed out highlights in your window, but we can recover those. So once we get a little further into editing, I will show you that. And then I would have loved to see the bottom of this chair. So I think, you know, you were trying to just get the window, and I love that the window is off center. So I appreciate this image, and I think with some editing we could make it even better. All right, great job, Jess. All righty, here's Tatum. Tatum says that she could do a much better job with her photos. And, you know, I think you had some great ones here. Some that I really enjoyed. And let me think here. What is your camera? Oh, you've got a... You thought it was a Sony CyberShot, but you weren't sure. So give me some feedback on that. Let me know. Did you figure out what kind of camera it is so I can help you? It helps me to know. So I know what your camera is possible. You know, what is possible with your camera, what the settings are and things like that. And so we're going on a trip to doggy daycare, everybody. And we get to know everybody's names. And I love that for each image you told us what you were trying to do. So fill the frame, viewpoint. Oh, and this one, oh, and you had some on your iPhone. Do we know what model your iPhone is? Let me see. No, we do not. So I'd love to know that as well. That tells me about the camera on your phone. And, you know, I think everybody enjoyed reading. Oh, and then you did try with your camera, okay. But you didn't have as much success. Oh, no, I thought it said iPhone 10. Okay, let's take a look at... And I think, you know, one thing about turning in late, you know, when you get close to the end of the time to submit, you know, I know time gets away from us. But if you turn in a little earlier, you're going to get a lot more feedback from your peers, and that's fun. I want to hear everybody's thoughts. You know, I just feel I want to hear this. I want to hear what you all think. Okay, so here's Tatum's trip in the doggy daycare, which she gets to work. This is such a funny picture. It makes me think of this children's book that I had that my kids loved so much. And I'll think of the name of it. But it just had all of these, you know, dogs that were super clear in, you know, whatever faults that they had and, you know, all the things that were lovable about them. And yeah, I'm going to look that up because you would really enjoy it. Okay, so here we've got Gracie, I think. And she is super clear. And the background is nicely blurred. So for this image, I really like that shallow depth of field. I would probably straighten this. This is like an indoor horizon, right? So I would straighten that horizontal line. And then it looks great otherwise. This is so cool to me because, I mean, obviously we're looking at the dog's face, but then we've got these lines that lead us to everything else in the room. So it's like a spiral composition. So this is really cool. I think your depth of field is so shallow that all we have is, you know, little one's nose here. That's clear. So you might want to try increasing the clarity so that we can get the whole face. But yeah, super cute. This one, you know, like I said, you had me at hello. What an adorable pup. And again, in this one, we've got a nice clear subject, nice portrait. And then we've got our eye goes throughout the rest of the image, just like a spiral. So you've kind of got like a knack for that. the colors, you know, all the colors attract my eye. And then this one is just, you know, adorable portrait. You filled the frame very well. You know, the dog's faces are really clear. Super cute. This one, I guess I'm not as big of a fan of because, you know, I don't know what the subject is. I think it was going to be this dog, but maybe he turned away at the last second, or she. So I'm not sure quite what to look at here. But it gives me an idea of the space. This is so cute. I love this picture. So we've got another dog here in the foreground, but we can only see the texture. We've got this beautiful portrait, and I like the angles in this one. It's interesting. My favorite thing is above, I think this is Gracie again, all of those shadows getting lighter and lighter and lighter. That fascinates me. You know, the effects of light. So this one is major keeper. The mushroom, I mean, the colors are really pretty. And again, we have like a trail to follow. I like that you don't have it completely centered. And then we get some texture and we've got some depth. Other than that, I can't say it's my favorite. This is really cute too. This reminds me of another famous dog photo by, I think it's Henri Cartier-Bresson, one of my favorites. Because, you know, we've got this adorable portrait, and then we've got this dog's legs, this dog's legs, this dog's legs, and it's so funny. It's just comical. So I enjoyed this one too, and I appreciate that you had a low viewpoint. This is a cute little bunch here. You know, we get to see them interacting. However, I think your point of clarity is like not really on the dog, and we don't have great lighting here. And then this one is like, whoa, okay. Was this, I don't know, this dog looks kind of like off kilter, you know, like I'm not sure what's happening. I like the colors of it. It's a funny portrait. It's not super clear though. So other than that, some great images, Tatum. And let's go back and see who's next. Okay, so we got Madison, Georgia, Ellis, Kira, Jessica, Tatum, Lorna, Jess. Okay, so we need Joshua. Okay, we got 4 more to go. All right. Let's take a look at Joshua. So Joshua did a photo shoot of a football game. And I really see that you're thinking about what would look good in the local paper or the high school paper, or I'm not sure, you know, where you publish your images, but I think you've got a great collection here. So you decided, let the background show context. Great. Center the subject and rule of thirds. Okay. So here I see that you centered, you know, the player that captured the ball. But let's look at your images so that we can see just one at a time. All right. This is really cool. I think this is a money shot. This would look great in the paper, and then, you know, of course there's going to be things to say about this play. So I think this is great. It's super well composed and action-packed. This one for me is, you know, it's like a detail shot. It's not so exciting to me. Maybe if you had gotten in closer and, you know, it's just the football, that would have been a little bit more exciting. So perhaps you might want to crop this one if you want it to be a detailed shot in a series, you know, if in the future you want to make this football game a series. Okay, this is really nicely composed as well. I'm following along the helmets and the numbers, and you know, you've really filled the frame there for us. And you've got a nice shallow depth of field. So this player in the foreground blurred out, and we know what to focus on. Great. This one is a little bit dark for me. I like the highlight of the light on the player. I would definitely straighten this line, and I might even crop this one as well so that we just get like a vertical of this player. I think that would be a lot more interesting. This is great, beautiful lighting. It's you know, it's the focus all on this player in action, and I like it. I like that it's, you know, more of a rule of thirds shot, so you've moved your subject from the center. Nice clarity, nice saturation. This is fascinating to me, and I think that caught everybody's attention. What's going on? Why is there smoke? Why are the players coming out of the smoke? You have got to tell me, Joshua. So I'm just like fascinated by this. The composition is cool. I might actually straighten so that these vertical lines are vertical, and that's our thing that keeps order within the photo. But you know, honestly, it's still good no matter how you look at it, because it's a story. This one, pre-game, it's nice seeing the stretches, and then we've got some depth here with the players appearing to be smaller in the distance. I probably would have gotten lower to the ground and further back, so at least this player in the foreground was, you know, we could see the entire person, not cut off. So, I mean, maybe there's a save here if you just focus on a smaller area. This is good. I mean, this is a good action shot. Again, I think I would straighten it, and I think I would crop it. This is a nice image. Great clarity. I like the flag. I like seeing the audience. It's got nice shallow depth of field, good saturation of your colors. So I do like this one. And this one as well. So this is like another one of those money shots, because, you know, this is a play that could be talked about in the local paper. I do think that I would crop it, though, only because we don't want to see empty stadium in this, you know, fantastic shot, this play. So I think I would get rid of that part of the image. Although, you know, it is a nice composition otherwise. Okay, just my thoughts. All right, great job, Joshua. Alrighty, now we've got Catherine, which is Katie. Okay, so Katie took us to a property that's in her family, and this is so funny to me, but I am just so proud of you for powering through. And you played with the settings, and yeah, so the more you play, the more you see what the settings do, and it's okay to go really far one direction when you're starting out, because you can really see immediately what's happening. My trick, as I've said, is to try a shot on automatic, and then adjust those numbers until I get what I want in manual. So your choices were context, show context, an unusual vantage point, and getting very close. Okay, so let's take a look at your pictures. You've got some nice feedback there. Boy, Tatum was in love. Doesn't that feel good? Okay, so we got Katie. Okay, so this is where you opened for us, this little shed, and I think it's a beautiful photo. It's classy. It's something that you would frame and hang on the wall. It's nicely framed in the shot. Everything is straight. However, you did some heavy editing here, so I'm not sure if this was a mode on your camera or you actually went in and edited, like say in Photoshop or another editing software. So I would like to know that. I would like to know, is this the original image or has it been edited? I mean, I can find out, but I want to hear back from you. So great image. I would love to see it as originally shot. And then this one I like as well. You know, it's also good. It almost appears to me that you did a crop of this image for the second, but I like it moved over to one side, not perfectly framed. I like, you know, the balance of, you know, this little dark post against, you know, it's like asymmetrical, super perfectly straight, and I commend you on that highly. And then this little birdhouse is kind of funny. So again, we've got some heavy editing here. So a lot of contrast, very dark. So I'm guessing that that's your aesthetic. That's all I can guess. But I would like to see the original. And again, it's interesting, but I find that this is one of those, okay, here is this birdhouse. Look at this, what I saw. So you'll hear me say things like that a lot. And then the butterflies, very sweet. However, I feel again like this is heavily edited. This doesn't feel like, you know, the natural colors of, you know, the outdoors. It almost feels like you took the contrast down, like it's got a lower saturation. So I'm sure that that was just something, an aesthetic choice. I like the shallow depth of field, but I would like to see the original again. Okay, this one is lovely. I love the detail on the butterfly. I love the super shallow depth of field. I don't know if this could be cropped to be even better, but it's pretty great. This one as well. Oh, I love the colors. Super saturated, and I wonder again if this is edited. It feels like it is to me. So I'd love to see the original so that, you know, when we're editing this coming week, we can go from one to the other and take a look at what you've done. Very pretty as well. I like how you've moved it from the center. I love shallow depth of field. This one, I feel like it's also edited. I do like how you took this object, you know, and took a photograph of it, but you kind of made it your own by moving it from the center, and then we've got this, you know, this interesting weighting. It's asymmetrical. So I like it, but again, feels edited, so I would like to see the original. This one I'm not really sure about. It's interesting. The plan itself is interesting. I find that there's only a little bit of clarity here, so it's the shallow depth of field is so shallow that I can't really tell what I'm supposed to be looking at. So I don't see like a clear point of view here. So I'm guessing it's this area, but yeah, I'm just not sure. This one is a little better. I can tell, you know, the area that you're focusing on. You've got some nice diagonals and curves, but I can't say I love it. Not that I don't love dead plants, I do. And then this one, again, is, you know, I saw this sign, but you've got a lot of detail in the background that gives us context, and it makes the picture your own. You've got some diagonals here. Again, it is edited, so I would like to see the original. Okay, great job, Katie. And let's see, got just a couple more to go. And we are down to Angela. I think Angela and then Brandy, and we're done. All right, Angela. She was looking for triangles to use as visual impact. Didn't find any on the photo walk. Huh. And then you went to Dothan Nurseries. So plenty to see and photograph. Great. So largely focused on rule of thirds, but I found opportunities for framing and leading lines, selective focus, and yes, great choices. Okay, let's go to your folder so we can see each image on its own. Okay, love this picture. Beautiful, beautiful. Lovely shallow depth of field. I love seeing the texture and then that blurred background. Great, love it. This one also great. And you know, it's got a lot of saturated color with the flower and the background and these plants. But the focus is on the plant that's in the front. I still really like it. It's just got a nice composition. It's got a nice flow, almost like a spiral. This one I like, and I can tell what your subject is, but I find that the pumpkin kind of competes for my interest. And, you know, we've got this natural flower and this fake pumpkin. So I think with this one, I would have preferred to see the focus more on, you know, just the flower. And I don't mind the patterns in the background. It is a good composition, however. This one also a good composition, you know, rule of thirds. And it does lead our eye. Can't say it's my favorite of yours, though. Here we've got some leading lines. I see you getting down low. So we've got a lower perspective. I find my interest is, you know, kind of concentrated in this area. So you might want to crop. This is one of those things that, you know, I saw what the person set up who set up this place. You know what I mean? So I don't know if there's enough going on here to, you could say it's your image because it's, you know, this is something that I saw. But I do like that it's, you know, got some asymmetry to it. This one, this little cutie pie, you got to highlight him. So in this image, I like the minimalist view. I like, I would increase the clarity and saturation. Make that little guy pop. This is beautiful. I love seeing the succulents. Very pretty, but I think I would increase the clarity or increase the contrast so that we get more clarity. This is really pretty. I just kind of love it. I mean, my eye goes here, but my eye also just goes around the image. And I really enjoy how my eye goes through everything. This is beautiful. This one, I see the idea that you were going for, and I mean, I kind of like it, maybe with some increased clarity. We could put more pop on the water. So maybe. All right, great job, Angela.